Picture this. You spent 8 agonizing years of your life, assemble a massive team of industry veterans, and light $400 million of corporate investment completely on fire, just to launch a game that gets outlived by a literal head of grocery store lettuce. Welcome to the golden age of live service brainrot, where multi-million-dollar publishers are so incredibly desperate for that sweet recurring Fortnite cash that they throw basic human logic straight out the window. We are talking about legendary fumbles, masterclasses in corporate delusion, games backed by the biggest publishers on earth that didn't just underperform, they straight up ceased to exist within days of hitting digital storefronts. These are not your typical indie failures or quirky Kickstarter projects that ran out of steam. These are titanic budget-busting train wrecks where the servers were forcefully shut down, the studios went completely bankrupt, or the digital copies were aggressively scrubbed from the internet faster than you can say dead on arrival. The publishers did not just move on to a sequel, they buried the corpses in the middle of the night and hoped you'd forget the game ever existed. Grab your popcorn, double-check your digital libraries, and prepare your coping mechanisms, because today we are counting down the top 7 multi-million-dollar games that died between days. Let's get into it. Number 7. The Calling 2. Let's start with a classic historical speedrun of absolute developer overconfidence. Back in 2016, the original Calling was actually cooking with gas. It was a cult classic battle royale adjacent survival game that pioneered the Hunger Games format before PUBG and Fortnite completely monopolized the global market. It had a dedicated fanbase, unique melee mechanics, and real momentum. But developer Xaviant suffered from a severe unhinged case of hubris. Instead of fixing their unbalanced base game and listening to community feedback, they completely abandoned it to stealth drop a cash grab sequel. Enter The Calling 2 in July 2018. It was a completely uninspired asset flip clone of H1Z1 that absolutely nobody in the gaming community asked for. The gameplay felt like hollow plastic, the hit detection was completely non-existent, and the launch was a historic apocalypse. On day 1, the concurrent player count on Steam peaked at a whopping 2 text messages. Wait, no, it peaked at exactly 2 players globally. 2. You and your Discord buddy could literally buy the game and instantly own the entire global competitive meta. It was so severely cooked that the internet collectively flamed them into oblivion. Xaviant realized they fumbled the bag so hard that exactly 8 days after launch, they shanked the game off all digital storefronts, issued full refunds to the handful of people who bought it, and released a public apology video that looked like a hostage negotiation. They even tried to bring back the original game, but the trust was entirely gone. It remains the gold standard for how to instantly murder your own franchise in just over a week. Number 6. Babylon's Fall. What happens when you take Platinum Games, the absolute legends behind fast-paced hack-and-slash masterpieces like Nier Automata and Bayonetta, and force them to make an online live-service looter-slasher under Square Enix? You get Babylon's Fall, a multi-million-dollar disaster that felt like it was specifically engineered in a boardroom to be completely hated by the public. Launched in March 2022 at a full $60 price tag, this game looked like an absolute eyesore from minute 1. The developers tried to implement a unique oil painting visual filter that instead made the entire screen look like it was greasy and dirty. Beneath the horrific blurry visuals was a mind-numbing, grindy live service loop filled with battle passes, premium cosmetic shops, and forced multiplayer queues before anyone even knew if the base combat was actually fun. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The combat completely lacked all the signature platinum crunch, and the gear progression felt like a tedious second job. The community smelled the corporate greed instantly and walked away. Within a couple of months of launch, the active player count on Steam dropped to literally one concurrent player. Imagine logging into an online co-op focused game and realizing you are the sole survivor of a $100 million corporate project. Square Enix panicked, pulled the plug completely, terminated the servers, and erased the game from existence less than a year after launch, leaving Platinum Games with a massive dent in their reputation and a permanent momentum to live service hubris. Number 5. Crucible. Amazon has infinite money, but as it turns out, Jeff Bezos' billions can't buy an authentic gaming soul. Crucible was Amazon Game Studios' massive multi-million-dollar flagship project that spent over 6 agonizing years in development hell. It was designed by a corporate committee to be a Frankenstein's monster of every single trending genre on Twitch. Part hero shooter, part MOBA, part third-person battle royale. When it finally launched in May 2020, it became immediately obvious that the game had absolutely no identity or charm. The pacing was incredibly sluggish, the characters were completely forgettable, and it launched with zero marketing momentum during a time when everyone was stuck at home, looking for literally anything new to play. The players bounced off the mechanics instantly. The player retention rate didn't just drop, it plummeted straight off a cliff. Realizing they were hemorrhaging users and heading toward a humiliating public execution, Amazon's relentless studios made a move that was completely unhinged and unprecedented in modern gaming history. Just a few weeks after the official launch, they literally unlaunched the game. They dragged it kicking and screaming back into a closed invite-only beta. It was like a movie studio pulling a film out of theaters because everyone laughed during the opening weekend. They tried to rework the core loop behind closed doors, but the damage was already done. After a few months later, Amazon pulled the plug entirely, turning a 6-year multi-million-dollar investment into a giant corporate tax write-off. Number 4. Radical Heights. Cliff Lesinski is industry royalty. The man directed Gears of War, but his studio, Busky Productions, will forever be remembered for 2 of the fastest competitive shooters fatalities in history. First came Lawbreakers, an incredibly polished arena shooter that failed to pull players away from the Overwatch meta. Desperate to keep the studio lights on and save his staff from imminent bankruptcy, Cliff threw together a free-to-play battle royale in a matter of months. They called it Radical Heights, launching it into what they called Extreme Early Access in April 2018. The game actually had a cool neon-soaked retro 80s game show aesthetic, complete with BMX bikes, cash machines, and bright tracksuits. But it was painfully obvious the game was pushed out the door entirely half-baked. Massive sections of the map were literally untextured, grey developer blocks. The netcode was held together by thoughts and prayers, and the gunplay felt completely floaty. It was a blatant last-ditch cash grab to ride the Fortnite hype wave. While some casual players found the wacky mechanics fun for an hour, the broader gaming community saw right through the studio's financial desperation. Player counts crashed instantly within days. Just 1 month after launching Radical Heights, Cliff Lesinski announced that Busky Productions was shutting down permanently. The game was left on life support for a few weeks before the servers were shut off forever, making a tragic, frantic end to a legendary developer's studio. Number 3. Highguard. Let's talk about a live service disaster fresh out of the modern graveyard. Highguard was supposed to be the chosen one, developed by Wildlight Entertainment, a startup studio stuck to the absolute brim with Elite X Respawn and DICE veterans who literally had Titanfall and Apex Legends in their DNA. Expectations were sky high. Industry hype man Geoff Keighley positioned Highguard as the grand finale, one last thing, at the end of the Game Awards, teasing a revolutionary tactical shooter experience. The hype train was moving at terminal velocity. Then, the game launched on January 26, and everything instantly fell apart. Instead of a fast-paced spiritual successor to Titanfall's movement masterclass, players got a clunky free-to-play raid shooter mashup with barren, oversized maps that seemed explicitly designed just to justify mounts, which were conveniently sold with overpriced gaudy cosmetic skins. The progression was insufferable, grindy core wrapped around $30 battle passes and lazy Warden character designs. The launch day relied heavily on paid top-tier influencers, which completely backfired when real players jumped in and realized the game was an uninspired product of design by committee. Within a single week, Highguard suffered a catastrophic 95% player drop, bleeding nearly 100,000 players down to a complete ghost town. The leadership tried to blame the content creators for the bad press, but you can't blame streamers when your game simply lacks a soul. Just 45 days after its hyped-up debut, the developers surrendered to the inevitable and announced a total shutdown, leaving investors with a massive smoking crater of a multi-million-dollar failure. Number 2. The day before. Before we get to the absolute king of financial ruin, we have to talk about the most infamous unhinged circus in modern gaming history, the day before. For years, developer Fantastic teased this game as the ultimate hyper-realistic post-apocalyptic open-world survival MMO. That was too many words. The trailers looked gorgeous, promises were grandiose, and it shockingly became the #1 most wishlist game on all of Steam. Millions of survival fans were foaming at the mouth for this game. When it finally launched in early access in December 2023, the veil was violently ripped away. It wasn't an open-world survival MMO at all. It was a completely broken asset-flipped generic extraction shooter. The servers didn't work, the zombies glitched through solid walls, the map was an empty, lifeless void, and players were constantly falling through the floor textures into infinite darkness. It was a complete and utter scam. The backlash was immediate and legendary. The Steam reviews instantly became overwhelmingly negative, making it one of the worst reviewed products in the history of the platform. The fallout was so swift and brutal that it defied all industry logic. Exactly 4 days after launch, Fantastic declared bankruptcy, claiming the game had fumbled financially and they didn't have enough funds to continue development. 4 days. They took millions of dollars from players, delivered a broken asset pack, and completely vanished into thin air. The game was pulled from Steam, and the servers were executed just a few weeks later, leaving behind one of the funniest, most brazen train wrecks ever recorded. And for the last, number 1. We arrive at the undisputed emperor of all live service disasters, a monumental catastrophe so historic, so profoundly embarrassing, that it will be taught in business textbooks until the end of human civilization. Concord, developed by Firewalk Studios and fully backed by Sony, this game was reportedly in development for 8 agonizing years and cost an estimated mind-boggling $400 million. Sony was so confident in this project that they marketed it as the absolute future of PlayStation first-party multiplayer strategy. They expected an Overwatch killer that would print money for a decade. Instead, They delivered a game that was completely dead on arrival. Concord launched in August 2024 to a collective sigh of global indifference. It was a generic, paint-by-numbers hero shooter launched at a $40 price point in a saturated market where every single one of its superior competitors was completely free to play. The character designs were widely mocked for looking like budget Guardians of the Galaxy cosplayers. The gameplay offered absolutely nothing innovative, and the target audience simply did not care. The player counts on Steam didn't even crack 700 concurrent players at launch. It was an absolute ghost town from minute one. Sony realized within days that they hadn't just fumbled. They had engineered the biggest financial disaster in gaming history. Exactly 14 days after launch, Sony did the unthinkable. They pulled Concord from store shelves, shut down the servers entirely, issued unconditional refunds to every single buyer, and completely closed Fireworks Studios shortly after. $400 million, 8 years of development, completely wiped from existence in just 2 weeks. It is the ultimate testament to corporate suit brain rot that the undisputed king of multi-million-dollar games that died within days. And that is exactly how you flush hundreds of millions of dollars down the toilet in record time. The live service gold rush is officially turning into a massive graveyard, and corporate publishers are learning the hard way that gamers can smell uninspired bullcrap from a mile away. If you don't respect the player's time, passion, and wallets, your multi-million-dollar flagship projects will end up exactly like Concord and Highguard, turned into a laughingstock meme and deleted from digital history before your launch week ends. Which one of these legendary fumbles shocked you the most? Did any of you actually manage to play Highguard or Concord before they got scrubbed off the face of the earth? Drop a comment below, hit that subscribe button to keep up with the industry madness, and get out of here. See ya.